Well, I guess I'll hear it first before I form an opinion. It's an interesting thing to do.
No. Just first of all, he's going live, and he wants you to like be in mid sentence when he goes live. That's how it happens.
Yeah.
Hey, what's up to all our sidekicks and henchmen out there?
He muted himself.
Oh, very good. What's up to our sidekicks and henchmen?
The henchmen out there in the Geek Nation. JD has muted himself. I can actually see the picture of his microphone. There it is.
He's come back.
I moved the mic and that unplugged it. I got
it.
Cut,
Brian, did you not buy a light yet?
I've got it on right now.
Oh, do you?
Face as bright as can be. And I was... Oh, wait. Now it's as bright as can be. And I don't know. Sometimes it looks good. Other times not.
You look like you're broadcasting from 1987.
That would be very impressive. Like if I was on a VH broadcast.
It's a little less grainy than that. I would think like 93.
All right, sure.
93.
Like early webcam.
Yeah.
Samuel David says, hello, everyone. Good morning.
Hello.
And Robert Monroe Jr. says, good morning, fellas. Max says, hey, friends. Look at all these people joining this. This is fantastic. I love it. All right, here we go. Christopher St. Saucy Goodnight says, hello. Hey. What's up to all our sidekicks and henchmen in the Geek Nation? You're watching the Cult Pop Podcast live stream, wherein we will talk about this week's books and maybe a little bit of gutter talk at the end, which we have not decided on, so we'll play it by ear. I'm your host, Johnny Destructo. You can call me JD or Jadles. With me this week is...
Brian, me, and then...
Noel, hi.
Hi, guys. So we have a letter. I'm going to read it.
We have letters?
It's from the Home Dad Abroad.
Oh, excellent.
Dear gents of many undebates, I am so abysmally sorry to have to call this out to your collective attention, especially as it is a throwaway moment during a very special and rare St. Saucy-inspired stream of excited prattle about film festival-style sleep aids, but your divergence into the film The Birdcage, a decent comedy of errors surrounding the uncomfortable tensions of an ultra-conservative family meeting the flamboyantly homosexual parents of two bland college kids in love in the gay district of Miami, stuck in my craw just a bit. The Birdcage had an excellent cast, barring the bland performance of the children, and some good dialogue and ad-libs. However, your delight at such brilliant moments as piercing the toast are, sadly, mistaken. Perhaps the specific wording of the phrase, I pierced the toast, was an inspired bit of wordplay from a pair of masters of the craft, but the actions themselves were in the script. I know this not by leafing through stacks of film scripts during my morning constitutional or by scouring the internet for the slightest chance of throwing a spanner in the works of your smooth as silk podcast, but simply because, as credited at the top of the end credits of The Birdcage, the film was a direct remake of the original script of a French play that was turned into a French film in the late 1970s called La Cage aux Folles. I don't know how to pronounce that.
La Cage aux Folles.
La Cage aux Folles.
Yeah.
Which translates quite literally as The Birdcage.
The Cage of the Fowl, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah. I saw this film as one of the first of a set of 3 films my parents rented on our very first night on our very first brand spanking new VCR, replete with subtitles. Wow, you must be saying, right at this moment as JD reads this email in an awesome tinny faraway filter. That Home Dad Abroad has such a great memory. Thank you. I do. Alas, this was not the reason I know this bit of trivia. In a fit of coincidental convergence, just a few short weeks ago, my wife and I decided to share with our little half-French spawn a film we both saw as kids and remembered fondly. So we held our own little themed film festival with a back-to-back showing of
La Cage aux Folles,
followed by The Birdcage.
I was exactly
the same. Down to the translated dialogue, which this time I could somewhat understand without subtitles. The toast scene in particular, when the French actor who incidentally wrote this film and the play and film scripts breaks his croquet? Craquat.
Yeah, croak it might be, actually, but I'm not sure. I just heard it elsewhere.
Craquotte. trying to spread butter, a common French breakfast, and screams, "I broke the toast." Aside from the exact mirrored scenes, set dressing, jokes, dialogue, the original film was more on point in terms of the uncomfortable situation that homosexual couples faced at the time, when there was just the barest notion of acknowledgement that such people might actually exist in society, but thankfully keep out of sight. Nearly all of the power of the original social commentary was lost in the remake 20 years later, despite the still backwards American attitudes towards sexuality and family. On the plus side, it shows a tremendous respect for the source material, a true rarity in popular entertainment. Just thought you would, or at least Brian, find it interesting.
Well, you're right.
For my themed evening of film festivities, I once hosted a Dan Hedaya film festival. Dan Hedaya Film Festival of Joe versus the Volcano, Blood Simple, Commando, and the Adventures of Buckaroo Banzai Across the Eighth Dimension because no matter how much I love it, it's easy to fall asleep to. Excelsior, the home dad abroad. P.S. The other two films of that first VCR night, in case Len is wondering, were Atlantic City with Burt Lancaster and Susan Sarandon, and Diner by Barry Levinson. Whew, that was...
Indeed.
Gosh.
Well,
It's done. The email's over now. Oh.
Is there a PPS? Oh, here's no.
Won't give up?
No, the email broke my internet.
Yeah, that happens.
Yeah. It was just like my Wi-Fi channel was just like, screw it.
Overloaded.
This is too verbose. I can't handle it.
I'll tell you. Well, whereas first of all, I must object to the term decent to Birdcage because it is far better than that. To the Pierce the Toast thing, you know, it's a shame because it's such a great anecdote, but it's a shame to find that's pretty incontrovertible evidence, right? That it maybe you had your lines crossed though. Maybe it was in the original film. It was an ad lib or an accident that was recreated. So which would also
both right.
That's like a humanity-saving sort of reason why that could exist. Because then I was thinking, like, well, this is, you know, misinformation is all around, and it has been as long as we've been passing around information. But you're like, how does something like that get started, right? Did somebody just think it would have been cool? Did they assume that it was the case? Did they intentionally lie? But that's a much better explanation. Yeah. So. Interesting. Good to know. You know, the truth is always good to know. So
I
like the comments.
Jesus Christ.
Noel froze. Bye, Noel.
Brian looks better lit on my phone than he does on my TV.
So everyone move to your phones.
Yeah, move to no.
You want to see? Everyone moved to Chris's phone.
Yeah.
And he wonders if I will read his email. I was going to, but then he brought it up, so now I can't. Let's move on to this week's book.
What does it say?
Let's see. So a friend of mine, this is an email from Christopher St. Saucy Goodnight, or as one of our listeners called him, the male Karen. So a friend of mine has been having me pick up the metal covers of Dark Knight's death metal. You know, the ones where they are shredding.
Yeah.
Last night, he mentioned wanting the Robin King variant and the 1 in 25 variant from the Legends of the Dark Knights this last week. One was $18, I'm assuming, and the other one was $300. Obviously, my friend passed on both of them. But he also said the $300 one was the 1 in 25 cover was about $100 more expensive than it should be. Should be compared to what?
Yeah.
I know retailers pay slightly less than what we consumers pay for the books, but I'm not sure the exact percentage. I know that if it's a $3.99 book instead of the $4.99 that we pay, that book would run about $110 with tax. That's about $102 for the 25 regular covers and then $8 for the actual cover you are buying. I'm assuming you charge what it costs for those regular covers because you have to spend that much to get that cover and have no guarantee you're going to sell those 24 issues. Is that how you would price it or no? All right, Noel, go ahead.
Well, he touched on it on the end too. Like it's not what it's worth; it's what someone's willing to pay. And those incentive variants are based off of how much the retailer buys. And if they don't have that many subscribers, or they don't think they could sell 25 or 50 to just get one,
Right.
They have to mark it off. They have to mark it up based off of being able to recoup the cost of maybe having to like pulp 20 comics. That it's not. Oh, you only spent $4.99 for it, so it should be $4.99. Like, no, you spent $300 for it just to get it. Yeah.
On my end, I don't get it. I look at my list of subscribers, and if I have 10 subscribers and there is a 1 in 25 variant, I don't order 25 books and I don't get that variant because I'm not going to sit on all those issues in the hopes that someone will buy the super expensive variant cover to recoup my costs. I just don't get the variant cover. Not only that, I don't really believe in variant covers all that much. I like alternate covers, which, you know, DC does. Like you can buy, I can order as many of that Robin King.
Oh, yeah.
And that's the other thing. Whatever store you went to, St. Saucy.
$18?
$18 for that variant. That variant, I could order as many of that variant as I can order the regular cover. I could only order that variant if I want, and not the regular cover, because there was no 1 in 25, 1 in 50, 1 in 100. I could just order whatever I want. So the fact that that guy is charging you $18 for that variant that he ordered for regular price seems a little sketchy to me. I mean, that's his business. Maybe he's got other things going on, but I still know about that for cover price.
Yeah, I mean, you put it in my
regular price.
You put it in my box as such. I was just like, all right, this one, cool. Yeah, rarely.
All of those death metal variants, except for like the 1 in 25, the Doug Monkey shredding, those covers are 1 in 25, and so I'm actually only selling it for, well, it's to a friend, to Randy, our son, the voice of reason, the Super Tribble, for $30. So I'm gonna make a $300 variant. That seems a bit much, because I didn't order. You know, I already had enough subscribers to order that many books, and then that qualified me for that variant. I did not order an extra 25 issues to get that variant. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Would you order a couple more? Like if you had 20 subscribers, would you get the 1 in 25?
5? Well, if it was death metal, maybe.
Yeah.
But if it's like a book that doesn't really sell, no, I'm not going to order a bunch of extra issues just to get a variant cover. Because it's not like people come to me looking for super expensive variant covers. I'm not that shop because I don't like price gouging people.
Right.
So I don't know. Did that answer the question? I guess so.
Yeah.
He
wants to know how you.
That was a great email, Chris. Thank you. Let's move on to this week's books. Let me bring up Noel's notes. Thank you, by the way, for doing the notes every week, Noel. It really helps.
You're welcome.
Brian, thanks for doing absolutely nothing except showing up.
This week, Brian was more helpful than ever when he chimed in with, "Oh, I also read those books, and how about this one?" Just letting me know which books you guys want to talk about before 10:15 a.m. is just super helpful.
The bar really, and anything you do is wonderful.
Bar super low, yeah. It's a super low bar. Just what was it? The bar went from underground to ankle deep, ankle level. So just step over it, and we're good.
You have on a pleasant stroll.
He commented, that one. My friend said the retailer was charging a speculation fee, thinking that my friend was getting it just speculating. It was gonna be worth more because it's the first cover appearance of Robin King.
So that is the other thing, is that like you can charge anybody anything you want for anything, and if he feels like he has something that will later increase in value, and he wants to sell it for $300, I mean, it gets real sketchy if he tries to convince you that this is like, oh no, you should definitely pay $300 for this because it's worth this much. Maybe, but if somebody can charge whatever they want for anything, but what are you gonna do? Right now.
So people were freaking out about the Robin King like punchline a couple months ago. So his first appearance was in that Legends of the Dark multiverse, Death Metal Legends of the Dark Knights, that origin story.
And I liked it.
So it was great, but even that just normal cover I think was going for like 20-25 online. Yeah, I was like, I mean, it's a good book, but
am I not doing this right? Should I be price gouging people? Should I be putting variants?
You are also not gouging anybody. I think even less online. If you put something online and there's a price there, you're not even you're not influencing them in any way, really. You know, like they see it, they can buy it or not. It's very available to see if there are other cheaper things if you're going at market rate. Like I think your desire not to take advantage of people is awesome. But I don't know that this would in all cases be taking advantage.
I don't know. I'm somewhere
like the really low profit margin of the books, and it's like, well, if I sell the variant covers for exorbitant prices and people are buying them, and it helps keep my shop open, am I the asshole? Am I the one who's like,
I know,
fucking my own shop?
I think it's somewhere in the middle. Like, and I've told you this before too. When I find out something that is going to potentially sell or whatnot, I usually will let you know, like, hey, that's going for $100 online, and we could potentially just sell that for you as opposed to
the gold.
The Negan Lives.
Negan Lives variant. We sold that on eBay for.
We sold both of them.
Yeah.
One for like 150 and one for like 75.
Yeah.
And that's that's profit for the store. That's
and that
people are willing to buy it. Yeah.
And they may be speculators, and I mean, that is something that they are fully. Why should
enough? Yeah.
Right. Exactly. Like if they want to pay that. Yeah.
I think it only gets really sketchy if you start to. And I know you would never do this. It's just like the line, I think, is if you start to either cherry pick from your subscribers in order to facilitate like selling elsewhere for a profit. Like let's say that you had the 1 in 25 and it was like prepared to go to somebody that had ordered it. And you were like, I'm just going to go ahead and sell that one online and let them know it's not available.
That would
like,
be going.
That's the line. That's when you start to gouge your subscribers. People but everything above that, though, I honestly think it's pretty fair game. Like you're keeping a shop open. If you want to sell something online as opposed to on your racks because it's a larger audience, do it.
My main concern when it comes to speculation and these variants and all that sort of stuff, or things that go up in price, like the first appearance of Punchline, is I want to make sure that the kids who come into the shop are able to buy a comic book that they want to read because they are engaged in the experience. They like coming to a shop. They want to read the story because they're curious about Punchline. If I get a hint that someone is coming into my shop for speculation reasons because they can sell it on eBay the next day for however much, that's where I sort of draw the line. That's why I don't let people, like if there's a big book, like let's say Punchline or Robin King, you can't buy a stack of that book off my shelf. You can't just be like, boop, I would like 5 copies of this. Because I want to make sure that people who want to read the book can read the book. That's what we're here for. We're not here to sort of line our pockets. It's to share the love of the medium and storytelling and all that sort of stuff.
But I think actually you're not like doing what you do is good. But the variant thing, if you have a variant up in your store for $100, and some kid, and it's the last one you've got, and some kid comes in and they're like, "Oh, I really would like to read that, but I only have $30." You can sell it to them for that.
Yeah,
I mean, if anything, they would think that was awesome.
There have been times because usually the variants, not the order as many as you want variants, but like other kind of variants, I usually put up for like $10 maybe.
Yeah.
And then if someone comes in and it's the last copy of that book, and they're like, "Oh, do you have Green Lantern season 2 number 3?" and I have the variant. I'll just sell it to them for probably cover price.
Yeah.
Action figure expert. Hello, what's up? What's going on with DC Comics? Christopher St. Saucy says, "What do you mean we?"
Oh, Noel said we could sell it. And
because literally Noel putting it on eBay for me because I don't know how eBay works very well.
and maybe I was like I was the facilitator of the sale.
He was my middleman.
I was a shark. As opposed to what's going on in DC, maybe we'll have time to talk about it after the book.
That'll be the Gutter Talk section, guys. That's a great. I'm glad someone brought it up because we didn't have an idea for Gutter Talk. It's very obvious. Thank you so much. Noble is a regular subscriber who gets these books regardless. My buddy usually gets his books on Comixology and was requesting that specific cover. So I get that the retailer is reasonable in assuming that it's a speculator. Yeah. Samuel David. He says, "You are awesome, JD, and that's why you have such a loyal following."
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not loyal. I'm using you.
That's yeah.
Right. That's true.
I'm not sure why yet, but it's going to pay off.
You got irons in the fire.
It's going to
It's
pay
what
off.
they're selling for. People expect to pay more for those. You are not doing anything wrong. Okay, all right.
Right. Yeah, I
I think
think
try to be as fair as possible. That's all.
this seems where it comes in. But yeah.
Let's talk. Let's talk about the books.
Let's talk comics.
All right. What do we got to start
Death
with?
metal, I think, is first.
All right.
You're not wrong. Dark Knight's Death Metal #3, written by Scott Snyder with art by Greg Capullo. All aboard! When the Justice League launches its assault on New Apocalypse, the team's goal is to free Superman from his solar prison. But it's all going off the rails when they learn that the Man of Steel is gone for good thanks to the anti-life equation. The deep secret of the Darkest Night is revealed. But how much darker could the Batman Who Laughs possibly get? And don't miss the surprise return of everyone's favorite wannabe Robin. That was my favorite part of the book. I was very excited to see a new favorite character from the Justice League run show up. I was very stoked.
Yeah, that
It
was
was spoiled for me.
Are we spoiling it?
Should we? I mean,
how? What's the overlap of the people that read the whole Justice League run,
right.
and then also this, and cared enough about that character like I did or we did?
okay, good.
Jarro's back.
Yeah.
Jarro's back.
Jarro.
He disappeared, and my life got darker.
Yeah.
Now he's back, and things make me happy. He's the only Robin that's ever gotten a hug out of Batman. I think.
That's not true.
In my head canon, they have a much more emotional relationship than the people he's actually adopted.
Well, he's also, Jarro is very emotionally open and calls him, dad and papa, and he goes in for the hugs. It's not like all the other Robins are running up into Batman's arms being like, "Squeeze me, daddy."
Yeah,
and he has worn Batman down to the point where he's just like, all right, cool, but not in front of Clark.
Yeah.
Jarro is a character. It stemmed from No Justice, which was the Justice League miniseries that was like 4 issues right before Scott Snyder's Justice League run, which now it's, I was telling JD earlier, I very much hated, but now as time is passing and like this is showing to be like, the end of that run or the at least the next step of that run, I'm starting to think of it in a brighter light of, it was just groundwork for something else, as opposed to not actually having an ending. But in that series, Starro sacrificed himself for the greater good, and a small piece of him was saved by Batman, and then Batman raised that small piece of him in a jar and named it Jarro, and then when it became sentient, it considered him a father and wanted to become a Robin, and it was just this whole wonderful subplot in the back of that series that just was the best part of it. It was just straight up the best part.
Literally the only part I had an emotional attachment to was Jarro. What did you think of the issue?
I thought it was fun.
Yeah, it was fun. It was, I didn't pick up on it at the time, but now that we're reviewing, it opens with the Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman robot crashed on the planet. And to a degree, I think maybe that is one of the failings of this, or maybe a bunch of Scott Snyder's work, is where, like, the last issue ended with them taking off in this robot. And then the next one is it's already crashed. And you're like, wait, what?
Yeah, there's a real frenetic style to this book, and actually, it was the first one too. Having read it recently, the first series, the Metal, they do that. He does that a lot. It's a lot of smash cuts, almost just like quick editing and quick pacing. It's just like you last thing you know is that we quick cut to it crashed. Like I don't know if it's if he's just excising the fat, or if there's so much to do, or if that's just a choice of this is a music video and it's frenetic and it's crazy and that's unnecessary and just cut. I don't know.
Is it possible that he writes that way for this big event so that there are things to tell in between, so they can do all their little their little mini series and their little one-off.
That's a good point. That's a good point. I don't know.
Find out in this issue what happened to the robot.
Right, the robot.
Also, too, this one. So they I guess they baked in a skip month. So it's issues 1 through 3, and then next month there's no issue of the main book, but there's like 4 tie-ins, just like 4 tie-in one-shots. Yeah. So there's a couple things in here because also too, like in this issue, they free the rest of the heroes that were imprisoned.
They were sitting around,
they were just standing around ready,
one room. Like, hey, what's up? Now that you've opened that door, we're all fine.
I gotta tell you, I loved the artwork, or it actually is more so the coloring of the whole apocalypse sequence with Superman in the Impossible Machine, or is it the Impossible Machine?
No, I think that's a different machine. I was thinking of the Miracle Machine.
It's the Improbable
Machine. Sorry,
Machine.
This art, the coloring and the art style for like Greg Capullo did some really, really fun stuff. Even the acting, like this whole sequence is just awesome.
Is that supposed to?
I don't know. This is
the Anti-Monitor.
Yes.
Ooh, I didn't catch that until you were just holding it up.
I didn't catch it until I just looked at it, and I was like, "Hey, that's the Anti-Monitor."
Yeah, I didn't read it
because it's a dark. It's a dark side Batman. This is so stupid on paper, but I'm enjoying it. Yeah.
That was a cool sequence too. I liked how Batman got out of that one. He's like, "Oh, I have something that controls the dead." What do you got there, JD?
I like Harley Quinn's Swamp Thing cake pop.
Oh. Yeah, that's awesome.
He becomes her mallet. It's so weird. Yeah. Also, too, like in the background when she uses it, there's a little word balloons of "ow, ow."
Yeah.
This book is awesome.
That's my face.
Yeah, I mean, if you would have told me 4 years ago, I would be truly enjoying the sequel to Dark Knight's Metal, I would probably tell you you're stupid.
Yeah,
But this is great. The stupid one, Noel. It is.
I am the stupid one.
Oh, and
I wasn't ready
for a Batman that we get there for a minute. That's always fun.
Which one?
In the very beginning, one of the 3, you got Brainiac and Red Lantern.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I thought that was cool.
It's something like Night Glider.
Yeah.
There's some. This is great. This is just great. And like a suicide bombing zombie Jonah Hex.
Oh right,
this book is fantastic.
Yeah.
And maybe
the Batman Who Laughs now, or the Darkest Night, is now somebody who I'm not like, ugh, he's there again.
I think maybe I'm enjoying this so much because it's so weird. Maybe it's just a product of life in the world right now. Mm-hmm. That just the disgusting to the wall craziness is
That's a good point. If like, my wife commented that I spend a lot of time on TikTok these days, and my response was, yeah, but it doesn't give me anxiety. Like Facebook, when I scroll through Facebook, it upsets me, and it's not sometimes it's because there's dumb people, and sometimes it's just because I'm learning about the news that's happening in the world, and the news hurts these days. So TikTok, you just scroll, and it's people making dumb videos and limp syncing and doing dance routines, and making jokes and stuff like that. And it's kind of vapid. There's occasionally some interesting stuff on there, but it's pretty vapid. And that's why I spend so much time on TikTok these days. And that's a great point about this specific book, is that it's so big and it's so dumb. Yeah. But it's popcorn, right?
It's just DC characters doing DC Comics character stuff. It's
I've been reading a lot more, I guess. Yeah, a lot more silly things, I guess. I just housed Power Rangers and Dark Knight's Metal, and I read the first trade of Gwenpool. These are things that I would never have even really tried, but we're at this anything in arm's length that feels like a pure distraction.
Yeah,
I'm reaching for. Yeah,
nice.
And this is definitely benefiting.
Patron of the show, Adam Aiello. Does anyone else think Brian looks kind of like Sebastian Stan, or is it just me? A little bit.
Well, thank you. I assume people like that.
Unless he thinks Sebastian Stan is hideous, and then
that monster.
Yeah. I mean, one, yes, You do. 2, ugliest person I've ever seen.
Yeah.
In film.
Well, next to me. Next to me.
I mean, yeah. It's gradients of gray. Yeah.
Oh,
Thank you, Christopher. Yeah, I like that even more than Sebastian Stan. If you
yeah. Chris says, I think he looks like a bearded Superman.
Thank you.
What era?
It's that jaw and that chin. You got that.
Is this because he had a spit curl last week?
And you're just like,
it does that actually by itself. Sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. But that was the first hair that ever grew in me, I'm told.
The rest of us just need haircuts and to shave. I'm waiting. I'm just waiting.
I would like a more handsome face.
Oh, thank you, Adam.
Yeah, I mean, is there? Can I get that on Amazon? Can I order that somewhere?
Yeah.
What are you looking for?
A more handsome face.
Oh wait, what? Oh, sorry, handsome face. Yeah.
And then Chris Ingsaws, he says, I stopped reading Justice League, but I do enjoy Jarro. Yeah, I get stopping Justice League. I'm
the only one that stuck with it all 39 issues.
The history of Justice League, written by Scott Snyder, is within the confines of our friendship in this show, is Noel reads it and he describes it to me, and I go,
that sounds cool.
Sounds so cool. And then I read it and I go,
But this is different. This is like Noel had just said, like on paper it sounds one way, and then here it is, a lot of fun, which is an interesting sort of juxtaposition to that, where you would describe it to him, and then on the actual paper of comic pages, you were like,
Yeah, it didn't work.
What's happening here? What's the Lobo sequence?
So he's in the 5th dimension, which I was also kind of like, how's he taking out all those 5th dimensional Mixyazpidalic type imps
with bullets?
Gun. He's Lobo. He's not. Is it
a 5th dimension gun?
Well, I imagine it would look.
It's a good point. But
or are they all playing around because they're playing war? Like it could just be anything. Yeah,
that is also
maybe they're not dead.
That is possible, and I don't know that they are all like Mixyazpidalic. I'm not sure, but the playing around seems even more like.
How do you say Mixyazpidalic backwards?
Clipizixum, I assume.
Yeah. Thank you.
So you say Mixyazpidalic.
Yeah.
What do I say?
I don't know.
What do you say, Noel?
Mixyzpidalic.
Yeah, I think I say Mixyzpidalic.
I used to say.
It's hard to think of what I actually say now that I have Mixyzpidalic in my head.
I don't. There was like a written out explanation in some comic that I saw once, and I had been pronouncing it differently, and I was like, oh, I guess I'll go with that now. But yeah.
It's like choosing to pronounce the Y or not in the first chunk of the name. So it's for me it's Mixyzpidalic. For you it's Mixyzpidalic.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's that Y is either silent or not.
Mixyzpidalic in my head as a kid. Yes.
I have one more question with regard to the actual book we're talking about.
Yeah.
So they break through, and there's all our friends. They're just hanging there waiting to be discovered.
Right.
All Kevin McGuire style.
Yeah, just standing together, not socially distancing. And then
no masks.
This guy starts talking.
Yeah.
Who's that guy?
Could that be Jonah Hex actually? Like
could be what?
Jonah Hex? What did I miss?
He's got an old-timey duster on. He's got a scarf.
Yeah.
What are those things?
Shit, it is.
And
he blew himself up,
but Batman can reform him.
Well, he was a zombie. He was already dead.
Right. Okay. Yeah. Oh, I bet it is.
Oh.
I like that. Here, there's something on your face. That's my face. Oh, it's so dumb. I love it.
This is a good book. I like this. Yeah.
Let's move on.
All right.
I'll tell you, Empire #5 by Al Ewing and Dan Slott with art by Valerio Schiti. Love and war in the midst of cosmic cataclysm. One fan-favorite Marvel hero reveals their secret as another faces the ultimate showdown with a monstrous foe. Meanwhile, an outer space jailbreak leads to a trial by combat you'll have to see to believe. But is it all too late to save Earth from 2 world-ending threats at once? I mean, probably not.
I bet they'll do it.
No, probably.
But
guys, I think
time left.
I think the Earth is done.
You think that's it for this
Over?
Earth?
Yeah, I think it's gonna be over.
You know what? That might be the case.
Yeah. They're gonna raise the Earth and just regrow Kotati.
It had a good run, humanity.
Yeah, I mean,
Did we-
616 needs to go. Yeah. This, I was just gonna say I loved this issue.
Tell me more.
Loved it. Loved it.
Yeah.
We've been enjoying this all the way through, and it's just been like, you know, the first issue was like, all right, cool. That's all shit that we knew from the 14 pre-issues.
Right.
But then it started to gain steam, and it was just enjoyable. For some reason, this issue just like amps it up hard, like as a penultimate issue, because it ends at 6. And I just enjoyed the hell out of it. Like everything popped off in the right way. Like, and it was all framed by Teddy or the Wiccan telling the story of when they got married, which was literally like in the timeline a day ago or 2 days ago or something like that.
Yeah.
But there's this sweet story, and then they keep going back and forth to Wakanda where all this terrible stuff is happening. And it was just paced so incredibly well to the point where, so a lot of comics will only escalate in one way and then tell you something else where this one was able to juggle both emotional escalation and literal action and stakes escalation at the same time, juxtaposing the two of them against each other. And it was just super successful. Like I really, really enjoyed this. Like by the end of it, when the Thing was doing his, I gotta just keep standing up. It's getting destroyed. I gotta just keep standing up. I was like, that was really, really effective because it was being laid against, you know, this man's husband being captured, and then they go and confront, and then it ended with that great like, oh, I told you my plan because I already did it.
Right.
And you're like, ah, like this was a great issue.
The Watchmen, the Watchmen.
Yeah.
The only thing
like that reveal. Sometimes that kind of thing can get like repetitive, but that one's still getting me. Where I'm like, oh, they already did it.
Oh!
There was one thing in the art that I did not understand.
Ooh,
so all of these. So when they reveal that Teddy is actually had been captured, Man in Iron Mask style, and he wasn't himself when he made the poor decisions. Klurt, the Super Skrull, they have him kind of saying, "Oh no, I failed him again," whereas everyone else is like, "Oh yeah, no, we knew he was captured because fuck him." But then when they do the whole like fight splash page later, Klurt is with them. Yeah, like I'm gonna go get the good guys. So I think it was an accident.
Okay, so what the other people are saying is fake news. The heroes show up, and look, here's the real Teddy. Here's the real Teddy, and you had him locked up. He's the imposter, and so you know he goes, oh shit, oh no, what did I do? But then the other guy who seems a little bit more backbone, despite being wrong, is like, nah, fake news. That's not him. That's the real guy. This is an imposter. Let's fight him. So then I guess it's just him going and be like, well, all right. I mean,
well, the other guy knows. What's his name?
Glory. Glory. But it's Captain Glory.
Which, by the way, I love that suit.
Oh, that is cool.
That's a cool suit.
But even like so Klurt kind of believes at first.
Yeah.
And Teddy's even wearing like can't fake it. They in dialogue kind of say like, oh, it's a prevents you from shape-shifting mask or blah blah blah. So it's like he can't fake who he is.
Right.
Huh?
Is it that, or is that just a mask that they put on him and said it's a shapeshift? You know what I mean?
No, it says it's to hide.
Yeah.
Like they say in dialogue that mask is set to hide identity and prevent him from shifting.
Yeah.
Right, but who says that?
Wiccan says that.
Right. So it's more fake news, right? If we take a look at the words fake news and how far people will go to defend what they think or to bastardize what they think is fake news.
Right.
I don't know. I think it was. I personally think it was just kind of a little bit of a waste. The idea of earlier in the series they set up Super Skrull. Super Skrull is the person that killed Teddy's mother. Teddy's surrogate mother, and in this series. Maybe it was in the Celestial Messiah issue. Either way, Teddy immediately knocks his ass out. Like, we're doing this for a bigger reason than you and I, but just know I'm not. You killed my mother and comeuppance. So setting up, if they were going to set up a scenario where Kl'rt is fighting with him or is the only one that believes that that's actually him, that had emotional resonance. So I was just like, and then 2 pages later, he's in the splash page with the bad guys. I'm like, oh, okay.
Yeah, but maybe that's still setting the scene for his.
Sure. I thought the beat happened already.
Yeah.
And if it hasn't happened already, then it was just like, all right. I mean,
I wonder. Okay. I feel like that was just to show.
I hope so.
Him sort of the crack in his armor being like, oh, maybe I'm wrong. Shit.
I also really enjoyed that scene for the like plot reasons. Like, I thought it was a really cool idea that we see Wiccan preparing to teleport to him, and then we're like, oh, right, he would be teleported to the real one, and it is all coming out right now. It's not. I mean, you're right. It is only one more issue, but I like the rapidity with which somebody assumed his identity, and then he was no longer in prison,
and it tied it in with they made the marriage have an actual plot reason, not just what's the word I'm looking for, like a feel good media manipulation kind of like, it wasn't just a novelty, like the fact that they got married in like a shotgun wedding propelled the plot because his magic is based off of language and words. So binding himself with Teddy via the word marriage and
that was cool.
And commitment
binded
his magic to him no matter where he is in the universe, which is like a really, really good plot reason to propel this relationship and tell that quick story. This was great. This is really fun. The more I talk about it too, the more I'm really liking it.
I was surprised by that reveal last issue of them having been married, because it seemed like they could have done more with it, made a bigger deal of it, as opposed to being like, oh, this happened. Yeah. But in retrospect, I like that.
And I also too, like, I think even in this issue, they show a bunch of ads for things coming out. They had all of these like wedding specials and shit planned. It's just they kept it as a secret to the plot of this, as to not ruin it. So like, I think they're gonna go back and tell all those stories of their wedding and stuff. Yeah. Oh, the armor.
Think of Reed's Iron Man armor.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
It's cool looking.
Yeah, it's cool looking, and it's Reed Richards in Tony Stark armor. That's it's gotta be.
I mean, just tell me why. Yeah, we're good. Yeah.
There it is. That's what I had my finger out to be like, but why? What do we think? What's the purpose?
Right.
So we'll find out.
And also like this is great. This is a classic penultimate issue scenario where everything
one before number 6.
Yeah, the classic 5th of 6 issues where literally everything is gone, is lost, is wrong. Yeah. Like the world is about to get raised. Wakanda has fallen. Wiccan and Teddy are about to get their asses handed to them. And the world is essentially about to end on 2 fronts. And T'Challa gets stabbed in the chest.
I mean, Tony Stark even says 9 minutes to save the world twice over. You're spot on. Noel.
Yeah. What is it? It's 10 minutes. 10 minutes until the bomb goes off. 9 minutes until that seed sprouts. So it's like, you got about 8.5, 9 minutes to save the world twice. Yeah.
Why did Katati even come to Earth? There's got to be vibranium elsewhere, right? This is a meteor from space. Do they not know where anymore is? Is it that rare? I guess it is. All right.
The Venn diagram of perfect scenarios, right? So like the planet that has done nothing but housed our aggressors and very rich, very vibranium rich soil. It's just like, I mean, it ticks a bunch of boxes. Also too, like we know that one of the larger kind of aggressors of all of this is that Katati swordsman who's trying to prove something.
That's a good
to
point.
Himself constantly.
Yeah.
So him kind of behind the scenes manipulating is
and taking out all of Earth's superhumans. Earth superhumans are not going to let you get away with destroying all the rest of the life in the universe. So maybe it is a good point. Oh, I didn't see this before, guys. The
sketches
cool.
in the back. Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense that you would want to also be able to utilize Reed's regular power.
Does the armor itself stretch, or just like the in between sections?
Like is that just blue metal on unstable molecule fabric?
Yeah, like unstable suit and then pieces.
Well, can you make armor out of unstable molecules?
Sure. Yeah. Do you need something? Do you need?
At that point, do you need armor?
Right. Did you ever read Big Town? Now that since JD's walked away, it was a cool idea where it was like, what if the Fantastic Four had just every time Reed invented something, they released that technology to the world and it transformed society. Like, why does Reed keep all these inventions to himself? You know what I mean?
No, I never read that, but that totally reminds me of. Do you remember Superior Spider-Man? Oh no, not Spider-Man. Sorry, Superior Iron Man. Tom Taylor did like 11 issues of bad Tony Stark, but the very first arc had to do with the democratizing the extremist virus. So he made it available to everyone to recode their own like biology to be superheroes or monsters or whatever they want, but then made it available only through a paywall on an app. Yeah. So these people got superpowers and whatever they wanted, but then after like a day, it's just like, oh, actually, you have to pay. You have to keep paying for it, and it's like $10,000 a day. So
yeah,
my bad.
Of like selling a book. It's like the way worse version of what you were worried about, JD, with Speculator Comics. Yeah. Oh, that would suck so much. Oh, that Dr. Doom. Or no, that evil Tony Stark. Sorry.
I really like that thing sequence. I felt it. You know, he's going up against She-Hulk, who apparently I didn't realize is dead. They say
straight up dead.
She'll be fine. No, she's fine.
She'll be all right. And because I know she's got a series coming up called Immortal She-Hulk.
Oh, there you go.
But yeah, so I guess I can't die. I'm the immortal thing. Put up your nukes. It felt like such a great Ben Grimm sequence.
Yeah.
Have you guys read Immortal Hulk?
No.
I was, and then I dropped off.
Yeah.
So I've been catching up. I'm like on issue 12 or 13. The conceit is that Bruce Banner can die and constantly keeps dying, but it's the Hulk that is immortal. Yeah. So I think they're just doing it with She-Hulk. Like Jennifer Walters is gonna die, is dead, but when that thing comes out or when that thing stops possessing her, She-Hulk will revive her, and it'll be like a day and night thing, like Hulk. And I think in the current book in Immortal Hulk, they make a brief kind of allusion to She-Hulk has died before, especially recently in Civil War II. So you remember like it all popped off because she was exploded by Rhodey gets shot
with a missile, but then she was in the hospital.
But she woke up a different Hulk. She became a gray She-Hulk and stuff.
Yeah.
So the idea that, and this happens too in the Immortal Hulk, every time that the Hulk kind of comes back, it's a different version or style. You know, like it's either a Devil Hulk or a Smart Hulk or a Professor Hulk.
Solomon Grundy.
Yeah. So it's they're kind of doing something like that, and I think that they're going to just try it with She-Hulk, which I think is kind of cool.
Yeah.
So kill her off.
Rob says, "Hi, Rob, Optimus Douche of the Cult Pop podcast fame." No, he's from Ain't It Cool News. That's probably why he's famous. But he used to be on the show with us, and then he abandoned us forever. So cool. Marauders number 11 from Jerry Duggan and Stefano Caselli. The Queen is dead. The Marauders, the Hellfire Trading Company, all of Krakoa, is reeling from the death of Kate Pride. Shoot, I forgot to read this. I was really excited to read this.
You didn't read this?
I forgot.
Oh my god.
So we skip it?
No, go ahead.
What?
How is Kate okay?
We could just do a very general. I mean, do you want an answer?
Do you want a spoiler?
Yeah.
There's a very large. Actually, this entire issue revolves around two very large spoilers.
Yeah.
So it was good.
Yeah. Great. Cool. Really enjoyed it.
Art was great. Story was great and emotional. It like had a couple of fist pump moments, and that's it.
Yeah. Oh, and there was one cool piece of information that I was hoping to share with you guys, but even sharing that would turn out to be a spoiler, I bet, because you'd link what I was talking about. You know,
Is
Why
this
don't I just walk
the
away? I can walk away.
is this the funeral? You're gonna edit this later. Is this the funeral stuff that you were referring to in the?
it is. Nightcrawler has a reaction to a particular number, and
18?
yeah. And that is a notable number in some way.
Let's do a to be continued. Spoiler alert. So you go ahead and read this. Next week we'll mention it for like 2 minutes. What did you think of Marauders number 11? Because it's a really, really good issue, and I don't even remember reading 9 and 10.
And Kate, I have such affection for Kate. I've always liked Kitty Pryde, and now this grown-up iteration of her as Kate Pryde has really been effective. I think she's a really fantastic character. She's one of my favorite of this new John Hickman era.
She's dead, so
yeah.
You jerk. No, she's got the cucumbers on her eyes. She's at a spa day. She's fine.
Yeah, that is actually the big twist.
Yeah,
and she was at a spa day, and it was all a dream.
It's been a real kvetch. It's like,
looks
like the villain.
One by Tom Taylor and Danielle Di Nicolo. For centuries, the Order has trusted in keepers and holders to guard the secrets in 7 briefcases against all harm. But when their stronghold is attacked and the secrets put in peril, the entire Order must face their greatest fear. An enemy who knows too much and is willing to kill them to get what he wants. Now, the Order's newest member, Casper, must discover the truth to the secrets before the enemy does, or risk losing everything.
Ooh, that sounds bad.
Yeah, you don't want to lose everything. Even most things, fine, but everything.
It's even good if you lose them.
Yeah.
You know,
I don't like to lose some things.
I don't like to lose one thing.
Yeah,
unless it's weight.
What about weight? Yeah,
I lose weight.
the horrible.
I gotta get rid of these.
Weight. Oh.
Yeah, excuse me while I drink my homemade smoothie with protein in it so I can lose weight.
Full of weight.
One of those. See, I've started Adderall.
Oh, that'll help you lose weight too. Yeah, I was on a little of that in high school.
But I haven't slept, so that sucks.
Oh, well, yeah. That's the downside, I suppose.
Yeah. Okay, I'm sorry. 17.
I suppose.
Yeah. Well, maybe the downside, I suppose. There can be other. Well, whatever.
Anyway.
Luckily, there was another numbers thing in this one that I thought was cool. Did you guys see the thing at the bottom? You've got this of a very early page. You've got this like hatch.
Yeah.
With 7 different things. I was not able to confirm number 4, but I was able to track down all the other ones. Especially that last one, Arabic, numeral 7. I was able to find out that is actually symbolizes the number 7. So it's Roman, Greek, Chinese, I don't know, Hebrew, and Mayan, and then Arabic. Which was a fun little scavenger hunt on the internet for the couple of the ones that I didn't know. Yeah.
So this was great. This is a James Bond cold open for I feel like an all ages ish spy supernatural thriller.
It depends on how all agey you think murder is.
I mean
style.
I mean in a 13 to 25-year-old kind of YA novel kind of way.
YA.
YA. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
It's super fun. Like in less than an issue, they set up this whole paradigm of a secret society of sorts that has handlers and holders. Sorry. And there's 7 of them, 7 teams, all responsible for protecting a secret. Mm-hmm. So it's 7 MacGuffins being trotted across the globe for whatever they are. I'm presuming all of them have to do with a specific culture, as indicated by the numbers.
Yeah.
And in less than like 5 pages, we find out that 6 of them or many of them have been taken and found. So you've got like just to the roof stakes. And then you find out that it's being told in past tense by somebody who survived later. And you're like, oh shit. Like it keeps slapping on the conflict, and it's just really effective. This is a really, really good kind of cold open. Yeah, I liked it a lot.
The name Tom Taylor led me to expect a little bit more than what I got. I think my own personal, just because of everything that I've read from Tom Taylor recently, I'm on a real Tom Taylor kick. I think I was expecting a little bit more from a creator-owned series from Tom Taylor, but a lot of what is effective about Tom Taylor's writing is when he takes known characters and does the big crazy thing with them. There's a big crazy, look, that's really Plastic Man, and it's a character that I know, so it's effective. So I don't know these characters yet, so we're just being introduced to them. I think it's a great first issue, but I was expecting big and crazy, but that was my fault. This is a really good. I think when you said like James Bondy type action. What?
Yeah, my favorite character gets kind of killed in the first issue. Yeah, they set up these 2 amazing characters, and I'm hoping eventually you'll get like, flashback type stories. But
I think according to the solicit, also it's the story of what's his
the person
name?
we haven't met yet.
Yeah, who's like narrating, but I assume is now. Although this was only 15 years ago, so maybe he is like one of those like stepped into the role as a teenager kind of things, and it's him and Tom together.
The council actually says that he has to be raised by the council as a future handler or holder.
Right. Yeah, so he will wind up with his mom who has abandoned him, but yeah.
So it's like a supernatural spy thriller Harry Potter.
Interesting.
What'd you think of the art?
I loved it, but because I'm familiar with this artist now, they did a long run or longish run on Power Rangers.
Oh, okay.
So for the Shattered Grid storyline, it was Dan Mora and this person. Because it was 2 books. It was the Power Rangers book by Kyle Higgins and Danielle, Danielle, and the Go-Go Power Rangers book by Ryan Parrott and Dan Mora. So I was getting this art and Dan Mora in intersecting issues, and I was just like, this is a wonderful style, and they're not similar, but they have the same kind of energy.
Yeah.
So I was like, I really like her art. I believe it's her.
For some reason, this style of art is like, for some things I really like it, but it implies a certain levity to me. I find it like inescapable in like no matter what the story is. And it can feel a little less impactful for that reason sometimes. Which is like my only feedback for it.
I almost have an opposite reaction where because it has an air of levity to it, when effed up stuff happens, it almost feels a little bit more jarring or raw if it's handled correctly. Like in a cartoon when somebody dies and you're like, okay.
Oh yeah.
I didn't expect that. Whereas if it was gritty from jump, you're waiting for someone to die. Right.
Oh, good point.
So I almost felt like it worked for the same reason it didn't work for you. For me. Yeah. Personally.
Did you like the book, Brian?
I liked it. It didn't grab me. Like, I wasn't like, oh, I want to know what happens. Maybe some of that is the art. It's a little anime style too, which is art. I have never gotten into that art form, and I'm not opposed to getting into it because so many of the stories sound really cool, but very few, not zero, but very few have I ever watched and been like, ooh, I really like that, Yeah. So that's exactly the one that I was looking at when I was like, it looks kind of anime. Yeah. Now, one of the things that often bothers me was that.
I was gonna say I agree with you. I actually
Yeah.
I don't like anime or manga
Yeah.
either. The tone and the style usually don't
Yeah.
quell well with me. Yeah.
A lot of it for me is the way that they express emotion, and that may be covering like they're so over the top when people are feeling any kind of emotion, from what I know of that stuff, and it might be coloring my view of this whole art style, you know. But for whatever reason, I was just kind of like, oh, you know, here's some events that are occurring. I have nothing stands out about it for me compared to any other like supernatural or spy or kind of, you know, like that kind of story. But yeah, like I'm not against it. It just didn't grab me.
It's a male. It's a man. The artist is a man,
Daniela?
and he
Danielle?
and he also did West Coast Avengers, that most recent.
Oh,
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
that was fun.
So it's always I guess he has a bright colored poppy style. Yeah.
I do want to say, while it is very cartoony, the layouts and the panels are great.
That is cool. Yeah. I just happened on this one.
Like where they put the camera and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Really nicely done.
Yeah.
But what were you about to show something? I'm sorry, I took over the screen.
Yeah, I didn't realize I wasn't. Just like as you mentioned it, I saw that one, and it kind of this light that we discussed earlier.
Yeah.
Where he's
like,
jumping over the railing while he's talking, and it's like
okay.
from waist down. Yeah.
and the panels are like moving downwards. It's pretty cool.
Nice.
I really like this. I'm gonna keep reading it. But I do like to your point, JD. I think we just don't know these people yet, so it's like waiting to really feel for them. It worked for me, kind of not knowing yet, but you're right. Tom Taylor is his specialty is taking what we are familiar with and just like freaking with it a little bit.
Yeah.
Which reminds me, I read that his all new X-Men run is about to get collected in a Thicky Boy.
Wait, Tom Taylor did all new X-Men?
Oh, sorry, all new Wolverine.
Ooh.
Yeah.
That was great. Oh
Yeah.
my god, I love that series.
So like all 35 issues in a big old chunk.
That's dope. If anybody hasn't read his all new Wolverine, starring
Laura.
Laura.
X-23.
X-23, she takes over as Wolverine, and it's real good.
Is that the Honey Badger?
Honey
stuff?
Badger.
Cool.
Yeah.
That's cool.
I love
I heard so many good things, and we read something on the show that had that character in it.
Yeah.
That was fun. Yeah.
Wonder Woman number 760 by Mariko Tamaki and Mikhail Janin. Wonder Woman's quest to bring justice to man's world has seen her take on many devastating opponents, but none so vicious as Maxwell Lord. Max represents the worst that humanity has to offer, so when he shows up at Diana's doorstep seeking help, what's a warrior for the truth to do? Did he show up at her doorstep seeking help in this?
Not yet.
Maybe
No, not yet. I mean, I really liked the scene where he's got the lasso of truth around his neck, and he's just like, "No, I'm really just this is it."
Yeah.
But she still won't believe it. This was fun. This was cool. I liked it a lot.
Yeah.
I like how they're setting up. You know, like this was a new run. It's a new version of Wonder Woman, as all new runs are, and I like how what they're doing, like working. Hey, all right. You know, like. I like what they're doing as far as that groundwork goes, where you're like, all right, this is a version of Wonder Woman that I could get into, you know?
Yeah. And is this the first appearance of Etta Candy in any kind of modern?
Yeah.
That's what I was wondering, because I was like, this is not Etta Candy as I've seen her before.
She has been Black recently in in another version of her, and is also typically portrayed as. I was going to say overweight, but that's wrong. She's not model thin, like our standard.
Oh, I the last time I even remember, I think reading her at all was in, first of all, I don't remember anything in like since New 52 of Etta Candy. And then the last time I saw her, other than the movie, was in Grant Morrison's Earth One.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay.
And she was a overweight sorority girl.
Oh, okay.
I'm like, when did this happen?
I might be misremembering. She's always been a bit of, maybe not literally always, but a very long time. I think she's been a heavy set.
I know that. I'm talking about like a military. She's essentially a military handler and or researcher. Is black with a mohawk.
Yeah,
or a really really cool. Actually, it's really cool, like crew cut kind of thing.
Yeah.
And
first time I've seen.
And she was going for. She was either like a handler or a liaison for the military for Wonder Woman. And I'm like, as soon as I read it, I was like, this is an awesome spot to put this character.
There was,
but I didn't know where it started.
There was something
the first of it, or
really recently that I read. I don't remember what it was, but it was like New 52, and she was going in the field. I'm 90% sure it was a comic and not the Wonder Woman movie.
Well,
I think it was the animated movie. Sorry.
Chris answered the question. He said,
He
sorry.
did. In
Brighta has been in this book since Rebirth.
Oh, okay. Good to know. Yeah.
And also, he's asking interesting questions. So about the continuity of Wonder Woman and the Infinite Crisis and her snapping his neck.
Yes.
And also him having murdered Ted Kord.
Yes.
Ted Kord is alive.
He is.
He's alive after having his neck snapped.
He's been alive.
Why do they have this tension if none of that ever happened?
He came back in Brightest Day, so he was alive anyway. But he was one of the like 12 people that, or however many at the end. But
right.
But it does still call it, like I was reading this and I'm like, wait, so that all did happen then? Although even last issue they said that she did that. There was like
yeah. But then what about Blue Beetle, who's alive again? How did he come back? Does he remember having his neck snapped?
I don't know. I like that I'm a fan of going further back to the pre-New 52 continuity. So when something like this happens, I'm like, okay, that's good. Well, let's sort it out. But
devil's advocate. Well, first of all, it doesn't matter because I like how this story is being told. But second of all,
absolutely,
they didn't show. They've not said it, and they've only alluded to it. Like in the last issue, you saw her tying him up, the famous shot right before she does snap her neck, snap his neck, and then they allude to her not trusting. He's manipulative. He's terrible. He's more powerful, but they have not at all said that she killed him. So there's a really good chance that this might also be a little bit of a around the corner recon of her not having murdered, just them having a deep history.
Right. And also
personally
does not need to have died for that. Like that was because he was mind controlling Superman and they could retcon Blue Beetle survived but the Max Lord with Superman stuff.
Yeah, that's just it. Like they've completely retconned Infinite Crisis like twice over now, 2 or 3 times over now. So really? Infinite Crisis happened. That was a reboot. But then also Final Crisis and Rebirth.
Oh, I see.
They've twice over, and then New 52, like Flashpoint, Final Crisis, Flashpoint, Rebirth, like
any number
3 times over now. Half of that shit doesn't matter anymore. So I don't know.
That's more like I want to know what they are saying happened now, you know, and I'm pulling for one or the other a little bit, just to like, there's a lot of stuff that in modern DC that looks like, we're going back a bit to pre-New 52. So I like that. This is like,
I hope I want her to have made that choice. Like she snapped his neck and then he just maybe somehow came back. But
people do that a lot in these stories, it's not hard to believe.
It's the same thing. Like with the last issue we talked about, the 759 when we talked about it, like I had just listened to an interview with Greg Rucka, how he had so many plans past that and exploring the ramifications of a hero choosing to kill, whether it's for a great reason or not a great reason, just the ramifications of it in general that he never got to do because he got fired from the book.
Right.
And as soon as I read this, right after hearing all that, I'm like, oh, I want this to literally be a not only an examination, but a response to never telling those stories about what it's like on the other side of making a big choice.
And it could easily, that. And
Yeah,
And
so what I'm saying, like in my headcanon,
Hmm.
this is a direct sequel to that miniseries, and we're just gonna skip everything in between because it doesn't seem to really matter.
Well, also how it ends kind of supports that because it's now been years since that happened. So
Yeah.
you'd be looking at it from a different lens. But the fact that then she is, as so many other people have been in the story, like that's the problem, is that people are being mind controlled into believing they're doing something else. And then
Yeah.
she is, and then she's destroyed a lot of, maybe killed some of these guys.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't a surprise, but it was just well done. So, like, when she's having a nightmare of all this stuff happening, I'm like, I mean, they're gonna pull back and she's fought somebody, and I was half expecting like the rest of the JLA to be on the ground or some shit. But the fact that it was a bunch of actual soldiers and we don't know if she crossed a line or not, and it's just creepy. I was like, holy shit! It wasn't a surprise. It was just really effective.
Yeah, and good use of final page credits and title on this also, where it's "What have I done?" So that would not be so great in the beginning of the story. Sometimes that can feel a little gimmicky or overused when they do the title and credits at the end, but not here.
What do you guys think? I stepped away. I don't know if you talked about her. The new neighbor,
Emma.
Yeah,
she's fine. She's fine. She's kind of just like that character, the new person that the hero meets in this new run, and maybe we'll know her after this writer leaves, and maybe we won't. But
she's shifty.
Setting her up.
She's shifty.
Is she a confidant, or is she going to be a new villain?
Oh,
she's
you guys
shifty.
think she's up to something interesting.
We don't like the lack of follow-up questions makes me think she's shifty. Like, my parents are gone. How old is she supposed to be? Like, what, 14, 15?
Yeah.
My parents are gone. My brain is scrambled.
Yeah.
La, 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 la. I'm like...
Here I am in your apartment.
And then also, too, like, just in a pure comic booky kind of way, she's been identified a primary color.
Which
in her hair and all her clothes.
Yeah, but primary.
So not that pink is a primary color, just a prime color for her.
Oh, I got you. Yeah, you're right. You're right.
It's just having read comics forever, it's like it's usually a visual indicator when somebody is assigned a color of some sorts, whether it's in their normal clothes. Again, I have been reading too much Power Rangers. So even when they're out of costume, it's just always, like, you're all wearing blue, you're always wearing green, you're always... Yes, this is Kimberly Hart in an alternate dimension. And her and the Ranger Slayer will fight.
Do you guys think that she is the one doing this?
I don't know.
Anything?
I hope not. I hope not.
Well, what if it was an accident, right? Like, her brain is scrambled. She is weirdly, like, becoming a part of Wonder Woman's life. Maybe she doesn't realize that she's using these abilities to, like, alter.
I'd be okay with that.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, her short-term memory is messed up because of some sort of accident. They don't say what. So she, I really liked the visual gag. Oh, it's not a gag, but the visual cue from the first issue of she writes things down in her hands to remember them, memento style. Oh, there's some cool stuff. I don't think that she's going to just be a confidant, though.
There's a weird pacing. There's a weird scene at the end of here. At the end of this, I'm sorry. There's a weird panel at the end of this scene. There we go. I did it. Where they're talking, they're snacking on some food. They both get up from the couch, and then it is strange, but in my experience of this world, click, and she just turns the light off mid-sentence.
Lights out.
Like,
it's creepy, right?
Yeah. Well, it was either creepy or sexy. Like, what's happening?
Yeah, like she is not alone in this apartment. You're right.
Yeah, it's time to turn out these lights.
Oh my. Yeah.
It's a social cue. Go home.
Yeah. You're in my house without me asking.
Yeah.
That's actually her flicking the lights, like when you go to the movie theater. They're like,
oh no, like the curtain's about to go up.
Yeah.
On off, like go away.
Yeah.
Just get to your seat. Carry on.
Which is not in my home.
Right. Yeah. None of my seats are yours.
Big Girls #1 by Jason Howard. When men become giant monsters hell-bent on destroying the world, only girls can stop them. big girls. Meet Ember. She writes poetry, loves to read, and she's a 300-foot tall full-time monster killer. She and the other big girls are all that stand in the way of our world's complete annihilation. Critically acclaimed artist Jason Howard takes full creative control as the writer and artist of a tale that's a cross between John Wick and Godzilla by way of HBO's Girls.
I hate that analogy.
Yep.
There was no HBO Girls in here. If anything, that would turn people off.
Yeah.
I haven't seen any of those three things, so.
You haven't seen John Wick?
No.
Or Godzilla?
Which Godzilla? That's a good point. I have seen
any Godzilla.
Oh, you know what? I even saw the most recent one. So, okay, I haven't seen two of the three of those things. Yeah.
What'd you think of the book?
Didn't care.
Brian.
Honestly, well, the art did not grab me at all. Like, I don't really care for this style of art, like the roughness of the art, but that's not.
It's very sketchy.
Yeah, that's my personal preference. It's done well for the kind that it is. I was bored by the story. Honestly, there's a little misandry in it as well, but, you know, you can tell whatever story you want to tell, but it seemed like that was the driving force. It's like, I mean, the back cover says, "Men are monsters. Only girls can stop them." And I was like, all right. I mean, hot take, but but largely I just wasn't interested in the story. You know, this is also not a genre that I really care that much about. Like giant person, whatever, not for me.
Is it?
No.
Is it because they killed the baby?
No, I already was bored before that, but you know, no, I mean that sucked obviously, but the the woman's reaction to it I thought was cool, and I think that she is an interesting character herself. But yeah,
it's funny. It's funny you bring up misandry, like because the concept is pure misandry, but
right.
The story itself is not like the most.
Sure.
Like the characters, the most toxic, even in this world where men are susceptible to this virus that almost like embiggens them and turns them into monsters. Mm-hmm. Even the men that aren't affected are wildly aggressive about this threat versus the women who are the front lines are not. Like it's just it's interesting.
Well, dad. I mean, the dad is a man also, and he doesn't want to. But yeah,
I know. I'm talking about like the you know, the military industrial complex that has kind of popped up. So like,
he's the one that's like, nah, you got to kill these little kids because otherwise they turn into monsters. Yeah.
It's weird. Sure. Like it's not men hating so much as it's just fascinating.
Hashtag I just thought not it was fascinating.
Yeah. Ooh, yeah. And in this world, there's a very good reason to be worried. You know what I mean? Like the world that they're in, these little boys do grow up to be giant monsters that slaughter people. Like, so that's perfectly reasonable thing to be worried about. Anyway, that's my take.
What did you think, JD?
I thought it was heavy-handed. I thought I'm not as big a fan. I don't remember Jason Howard's art looking so sketchy previously. Was he not the guy who did the Astonishing Wolfman?
He is. The lines were a lot cleaner. Also, he didn't color himself.
Yeah.
So I think this is
like the
line work.
I blew myself.
The line work is the same, like the shapes of characters and stuff.
Well, yeah,
but it's not. Yeah, it's It's not heavy. It's very sketchy. Yeah. It's more of a muted color palette as opposed to the Invincible kind of bright color palette.
It is very muted. Yeah.
I didn't.
This is the Astonishing Wolfman, which is part of the Invincible universe. Mm-hmm. And it is a very different inking style, much cleaner.
Yeah.
Who inked him on that?
And then this is,
or did he do his own?
Yeah,
this is now.
You know, guys, in fairness, as we were looking at the art, I saw the male character, the like kind of leader of their military or whatever, does come down, and he's got a teddy bear, and it seems like he puts a picture up of every child that is killed here. So he is not bad, necessarily, but
He's just making the hard decisions.
Yeah, exactly. And he probably lost somebody that was very important to him in a similar fashion, I assume.
Reading it, so I didn't. I enjoyed it more than you guys seem to have.
Yeah,
but
I thought it was fine.
I don't disagree with anything you've said. Like,
yeah.
I think it's provocative on purpose, not very not very well done,
right?
With provocation. Like, it's just more like, it sounds, it reads, instead of it being kind of a really witty parody, it's more of like a, you wouldn't like it if it was you, or like it's like a very pedestrian argument for something that should be explored. Does that make sense? Like, it's low hanging fruit. Like, what if men were monsters?
Yeah.
I still enjoyed reading it in a way. Like, I was more fascinated, I wasn't enjoying the story so much as more fascinated with, okay, what are you going to do with this?
Yeah.
So I just kind of kept going with it.
Yeah.
And I didn't enjoy it so much as wanted to know what happened next. Like, it's not bad.
Yeah.
It's not great. It's just interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I could see there being more interesting story. You bring up, I could see it being called Big Girls, a metaphor.
Also, I don't know what he's written before. Like, I know the art that he's done. I know his art style.
This is his first time writing and drawing, I think.
Is it
in the background? In the back matter?
Maybe the heavy hand is just a lack of knowing the weight of his hand, right? When it comes to writing.
Do you plan to keep reading it, Noel? Because I'd be interested to see if it keeps being interesting to you or becomes interesting to me. I
don't think I need another book on my pull list, but 6 months or so, deal with it. 6 months or so from now, I might consider getting the trade if I hear more about it. Maybe.
Yeah.
Like, I'm interested to know the plot of this. I'm not excited to keep reading it.
Yeah.
And maybe that'll change over time. Like 3 or 4 issues in, maybe his writing style will become more nuanced. Maybe the plot will actually start to coalesce a little bit more as opposed to just shock value. But as of right now, it just does. It's like cold pizza, not hot pizza. Like, it's fine, it's good, but it's like, I'm not excited about it.
And you got all the hot pizza waiting for you. So why?
I know. Like, I have every week. I have at least 10 hot pizzas.
Exactly.
Why do I want a cold pizza thrown in?
Exactly.
You know what? I'm ready for some hot pizza.
Yeah.
In the form of Alienated Number 5 by Simon Spurrier and Chris Wildgoose. Everyone knows the consequences of absolute power. And the three Sams are no exception. As their different desires come to a head, the only thing that stands in their way is each other. And Chip's deadly powers are in the center of it all. This book is great. This is some hot pizza. Oh my God.
This is hot gourmet pizza. This is I ordered pizza and I didn't give you details, but you knew exactly what I wanted and you delivered.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
This is so good.
I last night, so I hadn't been caught up, and then Noel wanted to talk about it so much that I was like, all right, I'll catch up. And so I read 4 and 5 this morning after I woke up. And man, both issues were just great. Everything that's happening is interesting, and there are stakes to what's happening. I'm emotionally invested in these characters already, but I also understand where they're coming from, even though I hate some of their decisions. But I also get it, and I feel bad for Chip. But I'm going to start feeling bad for them pretty soon because I think Chip's going to have his way soon. Man, and the art, the layouts and the art and the way people disappear. When they blink somebody out of existence, the way the artist handles that,
like weird ribbon things, and
ooh, that's cool.
You didn't read this yet? You get a chance?
No, I was so.
You can admit it. It's okay. Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't read it. But you guys.
There's body horror.
Oh my God.
There's social commentary. There's real emotional stakes. There's no clear protagonist.
Mhm.
It is just all damaged, realistic people in a very extraordinarily scary situation. Even Chip, the alien, he's a blank slate. Like, he could do these horrific things, but it's only based off of the emotion that's fed him.
Mhm.
So if you're feeding him a specific emotion, that's how he acts. And you've got these teenagers with their own very real problems feeding this alien, and this book, when this finally gets collected, it's a full story. I think it's only a miniseries. I think it's just 6 issues. When this gets collected, this is going to be something that I give people or that I recommend people constantly. Like, oh, have you ever read Alienated? Have you ever read Alienated? Here. Like, it's science fiction, it's horror, it's social commentary, it's a coming of age. This book is just fucking 5 out of 5. It's perfect. I love this book.
It's grounded in these teenagers' emotions and dealing with parents and their self-worth and all these other things that every teenager deals with, but now they have an omnipotent being that they can command. It's so good.
Oh yeah. And then this omnipotent being starts acting with autonomy in their best interests sometimes too. So it's like having a gun. So the first time you have it, you decide to fire it and you have power. But then the gun starts thinking for you and starts acting on your behalf based off of the actions that have occurred before. And it becomes a scarier thing, as opposed to these people having power. The power is starting to outvote them. Like, it's so weird and good.
Yeah,
This book is so good.
Hard to, like, I couldn't give you an elevator pitch for this book. Normally, a lot of books come out and I'm like, all right, Paper Girls, Stranger Things, mid-'80s, group of girls take over the paper boys route in a small town, and on Halloween, they run into something that is spooky, and that continues on. That's how I sell Paper Girls. I don't know how to sell Alienated other than just buy it. It's good. Yeah.
This is great.
Indeed.
It's very happy. And it's very harsh too. This book doesn't pull punches at all.
Nope.
I think the last time I convinced you guys to talk about it was like issue 2 or 3.
Yeah.
The way it's presented is not in line with the weight and gravitas of the book. This primary kind of color or bold color kind of round face art style is not. It seems YA. It seems kiddie, and in some respects it is, but it gets dark.
Yeah.
It gets content warning dark, and it's very effective.
At the end, I actually like this. At the end, there is a ad that says, if you or anyone you know is experiencing suicidal thoughts, here is the suicide hotline.
Yeah.
Stuff like that.
Yeah, especially, that's issue 4 you're talking about, right?
Yeah.
It very much revolves around self-harm.
Yeah.
I like that.
And
has become the standard, to supply information after something content-wise it's like that.
But these are the kind of things that don't get explored, right? Or at least not very effectively. You always get the first part of the sentence of what if teenagers found aliens?
Mm-hmm.
But the second part of that is the life of a teenager, especially like nowadays, is a constantly on, full of depression and aggression. Like, it's not whimsical. So what if this omnipotent entity latched itself onto something as tumultuous as a teenager's psyche, and we know now that teenagers hurt themselves. They have very bad thoughts. They want to do things to other people. They feel rejected. And they don't have the coping mechanisms to step outside of it and and deal with it. Right. So you've got this thing feeding off those very pure emotions, and it's horrifying. It's so good. Yeah. This book should be read.
Yeah, it's real good.
Excellent.
Agreed. I would say my top 2 books this week are 2 I did not anticipate, and that is Wonder Woman and Alienated.
Interesting. Interesting.
Does anyone else have a favorite?
Uh,
Oh, sorry. Answer the
This
question,
was-
and then Noel's going to do a thunder round.
Oh, well, I mean, this was the answer to my question.
oh.
Brian,
Cool.
what was your favorite book so far this week?
I'll tell you what. I enjoyed at least, for one, if I have to pick one, Death Metal, I think was probably my favorite.
Oh,
Just-
fun. That's
yeah,
cool.
yeah, it was a good time.
Also,
enjoyed
my
the-
favorite depiction of Wonder Woman. That ombre,
Yeah.
so nice. I love that. There's something so cool looking about that ombre she has with the blue and black.
This was a banger week, guys. Like,
Yeah.
Death Metal, Empire, Marauders. I know you guys didn't love Seven Secrets as much as I did.
Still good.
Wonder Woman, Alienated.
Superman became Dr. Fate in an issue that maybe wasn't the best, but that part was fun.
Oh, what was one of my favorites that nobody else is reading was Empire X-Men #3.
I read #3 and it was awesome. Yeah.
This whole series is so good.
Yeah.
Well, it's 4 issues, right?
Yeah.
Great.
Or
When the 4th
It's-
issue
it's-
comes
yeah.
out, we'll talk
Oh,
about it.
right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Nice. Are you about to? Is your favorite book your Thunder Round?
Thunder.
Sure.
Thunder Round. All right. So I'm going to put for the people who don't know, a Thunder Round is a 60-second review from one of us about one of the books this week, or literally anything, I guess. So I'm going to put 60 seconds on the clock, and then I'm going to give Noel the go-ahead, and he's going to talk for 60 seconds about Green Lantern Earth 1 #2 by.
Karina Becko and Gabriel Hardman.
All right. You ready?
So this is a series. This is the Earth 1 series, which is a retelling of classic DC characters. The first volume of this came out in 2017, and it is a very original take on Green Lantern, Harold Jordan. He is a space miner working in he mines wreckage for the Ferris Company. It becomes a whole thing. I'm going to talk about the tone. The plot is completely different than any other Green Lantern origin. However, the tone of this is it's not hard sci-fi. That implies like heavy math and stuff, but it is a practical science fiction. It's a little dirty, it's a little rickety, and it's just so incredibly effective seeing this the Green Lantern Corps, as it were, being kind of treated with a more almost like Ridley Scott kind of tone of how space travel and how science fiction and alien races are handled.
End of round.
This book was great.
JD,
This was straight up great.
I'm not sure if that's already on my list. I think it is. If it's not, will you acquire one of those? And then I can acquire it from you for an exchange of funds.
It is an original graphic novel, hardcover.
Ooh, that's hard.
The printing is a little weird for this one. Like they messed up the cover. I
Oh,
think.
this is the one that you shared in.
Yeah, this is the one I shared. I don't know if you can see it.
Yeah.
The back cover is longer.
I told you that's the cover.
But they are very smooth, very capable reads. Karina Becko and Gabriel Hardman are they're married. She's a writer. He is a writer artist. So they completely collaborate on every piece of this book, and it's just really great. It ends on a cliffhanger. I can't wait for 3.
Ooh,
this is awesome.
Only 2 more years, right? Until #3.
I mean, it's they do 120, 130 pages themselves. So
Is there another Batman Earth 1 coming? Because I really like that one.
yeah,
Great.
Yeah,
Very frank.
with any of them.
I think it's.
Yeah.
I don't. It's not been solicited yet, but both of them have said that it's done.
Anything else?
wait.
Oh, yes.
People keep coming up to me on the street and they're like, is there any way to just hand over money to the CultPop podcast that you're on? And I'm like, probably. But JD, do you know about anything like that?
I do. At the bottom of the screen here, you'll see a link, patreon.com/JohnnyDestructo. You can go there and help out the show with your money. And that would be great. You could also just send us money, a tip jar, if you will, to Venmo at JD Zero Complex on Venmo. And you could just send us money.
What about by check or money order? Do you accept?
I'll take whatever. You
Or
send
an
me some
actual
doubloons.
Like a package of change was what I was thinking. You cool.
It'd be so heavy to mail a packet of change.
Before
Take some of the change out. And then use
before we go away, did you want to briefly talk about DC?
Oh, right, the gutter talk segment.
Yeah, I thought this was midway through the show.
Yeah, I felt you wanting to close off, and I know that we usually go long, like we've
You're
been
right.
going long too much.
I forgot about the gutter talk segment. So, Noel, what's going on in DC?
Everything's dying.
Oh no.
Everything hurts, and we're dying.
No, I make light of people losing their jobs. That's bad. So the top level pitch of it is, or brief of it is, Warner Media across the board, subsidiaries of AT&T, have released 800 to 900 employees across the board. That's all Warner Media outlets. So that's Warner Brother Pictures, HBO, DC, Time Warner, Viacom, all the shit that they own across the board. 900 people.
Yeah,
that did affect comics. So it's still not sure how large the aftermath is yet, but it will affect. It'd be silly to think that it won't affect the bottom line of how many monthly comics we get and how frequent and stuff. Because right now, it's a lot. It's a lot of comics from DC. But as for who was affected, DC Universe, the app or the service,
right,
will likely go away by the end of the year.
Which we kind
or
of
it will go away by the end of the year. Yeah, because
predicting anyway, you know that. Yeah.
So
I think it's still around in a comics related capacity, but who knows?
I don't know. Honestly, I don't know. Like they've released most of that staff that ran it.
Yeah.
And then what wasn't like other pieces of it were absorbed by HBO Max. All original content was brought under the HBO Max umbrella.
Yeah.
So instead of there being like multiple, essentially it was a redundancies.
Yeah.
So anywhere that they had multiple things happening that were relatively the same, they just consolidated.
I mean, I kind of like that part of it. You know, I think that was a good move for them.
I mean, if you've got 4 streaming apps,
right,
make it 1 or 2.
Right.
It's a consolidation that makes sense.
Like I don't want to and wasn't paying. Like I had DC Universe and then it lapsed for some reason and I didn't even notice. So I was like, well, I'm not going to get it. I'll just wait until this other show eventually is somewhere else. And then that is what happened. And it's better for me personally, I think, and general consumers.
I mistakenly, upon reflecting upon my state of being, I think I mistakenly thought that if I would spend enough time on the DC Universe app, watching the things on there, that it would help get us more of those things. I liked Swamp Thing. I liked Doom Patrol, Stargirl, and I watched all of those things on the DC app because I wanted DC to know, hey, there's someone here watching this stuff, and I wanted to make more of it. So I was just trying to support it. But, I mean, if it's all going to HBO Max, there's still,
Yeah, like you could follow. So the way that it's all kind of set up, you don't necessarily have to patron it at its place. You follow the content, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because whoever houses the content is paying for that content, and then they still kind of get the numbers of you streaming it wherever the fuck it is. Right. So whether it's on the CW app or the HBO Max app or whatever, it's that you're supporting it.
So I have one more question. I'm sure this is a stupid question, but do streaming services pay attention to how many subscribers they have every month? Or are they paying very strict attention to they're streaming this show, this show got this many streams?
Both. I
imagine, right?
Yeah.
So it's new signups and retention constantly of that they're measuring. So like new signups every month versus however they've lost every month. Especially that first year.
You mean
they keep track of it?
They keep track of whether or not I'm still paying them.
Right. Yeah.
Do they keep track of what I'm watching?
They must.
Oh yes, absolutely.
I mean,
that's how the algorithm works.
Yeah.
Like they keep track of what you're watching, and anything that is suggested to you is based off of the things that you like to watch. The front page of my DC Universe app is probably going to have a lot less animated shows filtered up. My Disney Plus probably does not have in the first row all of the Star Wars animated shows that you watch.
Yeah.
Right.
Because they know you watch them more frequently. They'll filter it up to you more frequently as opposed to me, which is maybe the animated movies or whatever. I don't even know what I watch on Disney Plus. But
I was just afraid
it's
shows would get lost and
Not just made of the fact also that Netflix doesn't release that.
No, they don't release it, but they track it. They track it hard.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Like they'll tell you like stuff most recently in order to kind of identify or articulate the success of a lot of their streaming originals. They'll tell you how many households are streaming it. And that's based off of how long they keep it on. So like one of the third most watched movie in 5 years was The Old Guard. And it was something like 92 million households streamed it the first weekend. And that's based off of watching at least an hour of it or watching at least 15 minutes of it. And they track all that shit. Yeah.
Yeah.
So Robert Monroe chimes in. He says, my family got the DC Universe to watch the stuff there. We don't have HBO and don't plan to get it. And I bet we're not the only one. So, Robert, you're not getting, like, once the DC Universe app disappears, you're still not going to get HBO to continue watching, like, Doom Patrol or Stargirl or whatever?
And also, Robert, you are almost definitely not the only ones. Like, I can guarantee you there's some people that wouldn't do that. But it also costs a lot to run a separate service rather than just have your things on a pre-existing service. And there's something to be said for, in this case, putting all of your eggs in one basket, right? You want HBO Max to succeed. Why not have all your coolest stuff there? And why split it?
Well, also too, from a user perspective, it's almost asinine to have 5 or 6 different applications for one or two extra things that you want in your purview. Right. This company has all of it in their licensing group. Yeah. So put it all on one platform. That's from a user perspective, it's the smartest and easiest and user-friendly way to do it. And if anybody has the HBO Go map, it's mapped out very easily where you could literally just go straight to only DC and then it gives you all the DC stuff. Right? You go only to HBO, it gives you all the HBO stuff. It's not just some like bleh.
I can only stream it from my phone because HBO Max doesn't run on the Kindle Fire Stick, which I think is just both companies' fault. Like I very rarely call up to complain, but I was so incensed when I found that out. I called both of those companies, and both of them were like, "Oh yeah, it's the other guy's fault." I'm like, "It is both of your faults that this is not happening."
Yeah, I have to watch HBO Max on my PS4.
Oh, okay.
I have a Roku and a Fire Stick, and it doesn't run on either of those.
I'll tell you what, the Google Play, it's like $25 for the non-4K version, and you run it from your phone, which I thought was going to be a real annoyance and isn't. Oh. Yeah. And also to Robert Monroe's point, I'm the opposite case. And I love DC stuff. And I was like, well, HBO Max has a lot of the things that I want. I don't want to spend another whatever $8 it is a month for DC Universe. Maybe I would have again when Young Justice came out, if, or whatever I liked. But,
I still haven't finished it.
Ooh, it's good. Not like the original, but it's good.
I got halfway through the 4th season, and I think I just had a hiccup in timing and never went back to finish it.
It happens.
Carl says DC Universe doesn't exist here in Australia, but then again, neither does HBO Max. All of the DC Universe stuff gets farmed out to all of Australia's various streaming services. That sounds infuriating.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like, maybe it's better. Well, I mean, maybe it's better in so much as, well, everything is on Netflix or Hulu. Cool. Because in other countries, they have licensing agreements with Netflix or something. Instead of having a Peacock app and a DC app and an HBO Max. You just have like the main two, and there's different licensing agreements for other countries. If anything, he's probably got less apps he has to deal with than we do.
Oh, maybe.
Yeah, maybe so. And it's all like shaking around right now anyway. Like figuring out what the best model is and that kind of thing. It does.
I think we're bearing the lead, getting kind of caught up on the minutia of the applications. Carl's right. It sucks about people losing their jobs. And then also, too, I mean, we haven't talked about it yet. It will affect comics. And
it has Effect Comics.
It's canceled like 6 or 7 already, right?
Yep.
Yes, 7 books have been canceled. They're being shady as to whether that is a direct line, but we'll see. What happened is a lot of editorial staff was let go or consolidated, and then 2 figures were promoted. So you've got Jim Lee, who's still Grand Poobah editor-in-chief.
Or publisher, I think.
Publisher. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
But there are 2 new editors-in-chief that report directly to him.
Yeah.
The first one being Marie Javins, who is, as far as I have read, is it's considered like a editor's editor. Like, she's deep in comics and has worked for many places before, and is like the impression I'm getting having reading about her is that she's been in the industry for so long and she is so beloved that this is kind of a good thing that she is promoted to editor-in-chief because she believes in comic books.
Yeah.
However, the other editor-in-chief is Michelle Wells, who is responsible for DC's current success in YA and original graphic novels. So you've got 2 editors-in-chiefs that thematically are almost kind of in charge of 2 separate things, one being bookstores and OGNs and larger chains, different kinds of distribution, and the other being weekly issues, comic books, small store distribution. Both of them leveling up to Jim Lee.
That's cool.
It's cool, but I think it's going to definitely affect. It's very, very much going to affect how many comics we get a month and what those will be, like a more focused, streamlined done. And I think some lines are going to go away. Like, I know that we still have Black Label.
Yeah.
Maybe Black Label will survive, but stuff like Earth One is probably not going to start over.
When you mentioned it ended on a cliffhanger. Yeah.
Well, I think these are vanity projects for very popular creators. You've got Jeff Johns, Grant Morrison, Gabriel Hardman.
Yeah.
I don't think these are going to go away, but I don't think we're going to get new ones. Yeah. I also don't think we're going to get imprints. I don't think we're going to get another Hill House. I don't think we're going to get Young Animal.
Right.
I don't think we're not. Even Wonder Comics is being kind of whittled because Young Justice was canceled.
Young Justice.
Yeah, that's a shame too. Yeah.
And my boy, John Constantine, Hellblazer, got canceled.
Yeah. I think those people sounded like cool people to run it. That's not the other stuff doesn't sound cool.
Yeah, no, I mean it's the amount of it might have been Newsarama, it might have been Bleeding Cool, but one of the articles that I had read, because I read a bunch of them, was just based on numbers, the amount of staff that they're letting go versus the amount of output that they have currently on shelves. We could see a 20 to 30% reduction in product because they literally just don't have the amount of people to do it.
Right.
So it's not necessarily like the world is ending and oh my God, it's more like, oh no, you're getting rid of staff and there's less staff to do X, Y, and Z.
Procedural question. They do a lot of freelance stuff in comics, right? So laying off stuff, does that mean less books by default?
Not editorial. So editorial is usually not freelance. Talent's freelance.
Yeah.
So if they were
deal with those freelancers.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And
R. Lunar says, what about the comics on DC Online? And that was my question earlier. I wasn't clear as far as the DC Universe app goes. Do we think they're going to get rid of the comic book reading portion of that app?
They have specifically said that they are not. But you never know. Jim Lee was like, we have so many comics on there and we want DC to still be an experience. Yeah. DC Universe app to still be an experience.
They better make it cheaper.
Yeah, $7.98. Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah.
I mean, people can just get Comixology at this. Like, it doesn't have anything different.
If you have the service, though, then you get access to the library.
But if you pay monthly for Comixology Unlimited, you get all those back issues anyway. Like, they need to. Yeah, like Comixology Unlimited is just like Kindle Unlimited, where a lot of stuff is based off the service. However, when it comes to like new weekly comics, you pay for those ad hoc.
Right.
Same with Marvel Unlimited. Like,
okay.
Back catalog is all based off of the fee for the service, no extras. But if you want to get weekly comics, then you pay per.
Action Figure Expert says, what does that mean for DC Collectibles? DC Collectibles. Oh, wait, what am I thinking of? Was DC Collectibles axed or was that DC
I think it was
Yes.
DC Direct was axed.
Yeah.
What's the difference?
That is DC Collectible.
Oh.
That is their in-house collectible production thing. He said, for you, the consumer, you probably will not notice a difference.
Oh.
We still plan to be producing things. We just won't actually be producing them.
Yeah, like it's probably going to be something like so last year, was it last year or the year before? The partnership with McFarlane Toys. Instead of making their own toys in-house with DC Direct, they started farming out molds and designs to McFarlane Toys. They're probably going to do that with statues and collectibles now too, as opposed to doing it all in-house. This was a full consolidation of arms. Yeah.
Carl says, for example, Harley Quinn is on Amazon, as are some of the CW shows, but the others are spread out on Binge, Netflix, and Stan.
We don't have the first and third of those, but it sounds like kind of the same situation as here. Yeah.
It is just as annoying. Sorry.
Robert Monroe does say the only reason I've considered HBO is for Lovecraft Country, which I can't wait.
Tonight.
Right. And also, Robert, now there are also some really cool DC. The Green Lantern's Strange Adventures, a DC anthology show, sounds awesome. So
Wait,
what's that?
Tell me more. What?
It's only been announced. There's no real detail other than that.
It's not. It and the comic were announced at the same time, but have nothing at all to do with each other.
Yeah, HBO Max has a bunch of DC stuff coming. It's all in development, and it's going nowhere right now because there's no productions happening. But it's Justice League Dark, Green Lantern, and Strange Adventures.
Justice League Dark is it an animated thing or
no live action?
Is it gonna have Constantine?
I don't know.
One hopes, but
just tell me yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, thanks, guys. I appreciate it. I feel better.
It's gonna be great. You'll love it.
About that Hellblazer being canceled, man. It's the best it's been since the original Hellblazer run.
You get a Tom Taylor Black Label book for a couple months, though.
Yeah, 3 issues.
Yeah.
Oh, you know what though? Before we like divert, because that's what we do.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be real telling when we see December solicitations.
Oh yeah.
So the stuff in November, like the November solicitations, kind of were leaked, or some of them came out, and that's what revealed a lot of the cancellations. A lot of those stories were ending or they're solid cancellations. However, what happens in December will be interesting. Like how many less books there will be, if there's any new relaunches, what the labels will look like, if anything. Like if we start seeing the Young Animal books have like a bunch of final issue, or there's no announcements of any Hill House books or stuff like that. Like it might be the new normal for a while that it's going to be just main characters.
I could see Hill House being direct to trade. Like they seem, you know, like they're concept stories that are not necessarily ongoings. If you're going to do anything, that would be the good kind of thing to do.
Yeah.
The direct to trade is so difficult.
Yeah.
Only because like as consumers were, especially like comics.
Yeah.
We don't adopt original stories in whole chunks very much. Like you can't, like it's like a pusher, like one issue, a $3.99 issue is an entry point to buy in. But if somebody gave me Daphne Byrne and was just like 25, like, no, I'm okay.
We would not just randomly pick up Alienated, the trade paperback.
Yeah.
But because we read the first issue and went, oh.
Right. I could see it for horror books though. Like for whatever reason, that feel seems like, you guys read, maybe you would know more than any of us, JD, but something like a Hill House imprint, could you see succeeding as, it's
only because it has the name Joe Hill.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, I think it'll be based off for the next question too. It's always going to be based off of the creative team, which I think some of these more premiere format things won't necessarily go away. It'll just be, if anything, long term, it actually might hurt comics a little bit because it's all going to be based off of name recognition. That's in front of and behind panel. Yeah. So a lot of these buy-ins going to be real low because it's only going to be like the well-known superstars, and there's still going to be 45 Batman books, but we're going to lose all the mid-tier characters, or they're going to be off on
the animated series, the animated movies have been is. Here's another Batman animated series. Here's another Superman animated movie.
Yeah.
I guess we'll try a Teen Titans, but it's still gonna have Batman or Superman in the title probably.
No, I did see an argument. I did see an argument online talking about how this could negatively affect comic book stores. But it was a real pedestrian argument of like it'll go the way of vinyl shops and specialty stores, and I'm thinking it already fucking is, dude. Like they are specialty shops, they are like vinyl shops. Like, what's your argument? And he was just like, well, no, I mean, you know, comics are there's much more. There's like thousands and thousands of shops across the world, and that could be, or across the country, and that could diminish. I'm like, yeah, but there's thousands and thousands of record shops, and like he was trying to make the argument of it being like a video store.
Oh yeah,
wow.
But that
and your analogy is
that's why, and that's it.
Yeah.
His
analogy was absolute garbage from jump. So I was like, I don't think you know what you're saying. It already is, Mitch. It already is.
It makes me nervous. I gotta say, when the news came down about all of those layoffs, the bloodbath of layoffs, as they say, I felt it in my gut. Like I felt like I was getting laid off a little bit. I was like, ooh. It knocked the wind out of my sails that night, and I was just like, "Oh man!" You know, DC had already been screwing the retailers like 4 times over in the past 3 months, and now this. So it does make me nervous, but I try to keep in mind that there are expansions and contractions throughout the industry every decade. You know, this happened a while ago. Even Marvel actually went bankrupt, and that could have been the end of Marvel, but it wasn't. They, So I'm trying to keep the longer view in mind. It sucks I felt so bad for these 900 people who got let go, like during a pandemic.
Yeah,
man.
It was from across there. I mean, I'm not happy, but I'm a little happier to hear that than it was this many DC. And if there's an and,
I did feel a little bit better. It's weird. I felt better that it was like the entire company and not just DC.
Yeah, they weren't gutting DC because it's a failure.
Right.
They were gutting the entire organization. Yeah. And also too, I had read a couple of like insider garbage or trade stuff about this isn't a reaction to COVID-19 or the pandemic. Right. It was exacerbated by it.
Right.
So these are things that were kind of in the works anyway, a consolidation of like the moving of distributors was part of it. Like the idea of we're bringing more things in house and we're making sure that they're consolidated across the board. It's not something that was never going to happen. It's something that was just kind of quickened or exacerbated by the needing to tightening money now. Yeah. But the whole point of AT&T's acquisition was about being unified and codified and focused.
That does happen when one company acquires another, and it's my understanding. Yeah.
Which I never was super stoked about that. No. I'm even less so now. Yeah. But on the other hand, maybe these cost-cutting tactics are what's going to keep the company there.
If it allows them to be successful and refocused, it could help the retailers ultimately by producing more product that the consumer wants.
That's true.
Who knows?
Also, a lot of there's been the lowest on the totem pole that I've seen it affect is letterers.
Yeah.
But I've not seen anything about writers or aside from books being canceled. Yeah. No writers or on staff have been like straight up fired. They're not letting go staff on the talent level. It's like from production on the letterer end up.
And that is a business,
which is interesting,
more than a creative decision. You know what I mean? Like you could see it that way anyway.
Yeah, it's very like I'm not exactly sure, and it wasn't just, and it's like I think the one that I read about was it was like a supervisor of letters, like a high level one, but the other ones are fine, and also too they're talking about how it's happening. Nobody got fired yesterday. They were informed
like
yesterday.
Yeah.
That no, like some of them are November. Like they're doing.
Oh.
Yeah. So it's you're this. There's no. It's not animus. It's not.
Yeah.
You're all fired. Pack up your shit and leave. It's more. We're making your positions redundant, and it will not exist past November. So you have the option to continue your term or leave.
I had no idea. About that. I thought it was just everyone packed up their cardboard boxes and they skulked away to the.
No, I mean some of them are a little. I don't think all of them are till mid-November, but a lot of them were.
So they have a chance to like.
I had heard also that
out other employment and stuff.
Absolutely, yeah.
And apparently they only have to give 60 days notice according to a certain law, but they have given 90 days to something.
Oh, wow. That makes me feel so much. I mean, it sucks. Yeah, it sucks.
Of course.
But it doesn't suck quite as much as I thought it sucked.
Right. It's a nice thing for them to have done.
Yeah.
Kind of.
Some of the sky is falling chatter has been about how, see, I told you, comics are ending. See? And it's like, relax. Chill the fuck out.
Yeah.
Because this is purely a business decision based off of overhead.
Yeah.
They have more overhead than profit across the board. And here's where it could, and what tells you that too is it's not is how it's handling. The fact that they're giving people 60 to 90 days, letting them know that the positions are disappearing. Right. It's not a reactionary, we gotta go. You're all fired by the end of this quarter.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of companies have done that.
A lot.
This feels like a more long-term strategic move as opposed to a reactionary, we have to save money by the end of the year now. Go. Kind of move.
Action Figure Expert says, speaking of the DC animated movies, do you guys think that they might make more money? Most of them went to movie theaters instead of direct to DVD.
I like when they present it on a nice kind of Limburg or like a Brie format. I think is good for the
direct to cheese, baby.
Exactly, direct to cheese is my preference. In seriousness, I doubt it. I think their model it seems good now. They release the DVDs. The people who really want that buy them right away. People then wait until they're available for rent, which is not too long, but long enough to make you have to wait. And then eventually they're on a streaming service. And I doubt that even non-pandemic conditions, I doubt releasing them in the movie theaters would be viable.
I mean, they're barely profitable.
Right.
Like those direct to like they cost a couple million each, and they about make their bank over. Like none of them are like wild successes that would warrant
which is a shame.
The cost of a theatrical. Well, I mean, nobody really, not many people think about the cost of actually exhibiting something theatrically for more than one night. So some of them would get those like Fathom events where it's just one night you get to watch the DC animated movie on the big screen. Yay!
Right.
But it costs millions upon millions or dozens of millions of dollars to just put a movie in theaters.
Dozens of dollars.
Well, instead of saying millions and millions and millions and millions and millions, I stopped and said dozens of millions.
Although millions of dollars is,
and then all of that profit is shared with the exhibitor.
Right.
So it is not it's only worth it to put movies in the theaters when they're guaranteed to make you profit globally. And these movies are very niche. It doesn't make sense.
Why can't things just exist and break even? You know what I mean? Like, everything works. You still pay everybody.
That's my shop.
You know? Yeah.
And it breaks even. That's it.
I would like you personally and everybody to make more money. But, when we're talking about, like, if a movie comes out and it only made back its money, but, like, people still enjoyed it. I know it's not as good as $100 million, of course.
Yeah, I mean, audiences find their way. It's
I mean, I know
the very specific. So they make profit because they have the model that they do, being rental and direct to video and streaming.
Right.
Because the streaming companies pay for the license and blah blah blah.
Right.
The very specific market that he describes, it's the wrong content for that market to make profit.
Right.
It's not. It's like saying, well, why can't we sell comics at the I don't know, at the record store or at the coffee shop? Why can't we so we get more? I'm like, that's not potentially the right venue to move enough feet for the cost of putting them in X, Y, and Z. You know what I mean? Like it's about product in its right format.
And animated stuff probably just like increases engagement, keeps fans happy, getting very fan specific kind of things, and also is an entry point for new, like maybe some kids that wouldn't see it, and so you profit in that way too. That keeps people around. That just as a reason why they would still be making them, even if they're not the most popular things.
Are you eating candy?
Is that a strawberry? Is what it looks like to me.
Watermelon.
Is it the same watermelon you've been eating for like 2 weeks?
I hope so.
Yeah, I regurgitate it.
Do you guys remember yellow watermelon? Remember that?
I don't like watermelon.
Oh, I love it personally.
Me too.
Oh, may I? A couple of things wrapped up. Can I just give a quick? All right. Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. final episode of the series happened this week.
I watched it.
I'm on season 2.
Season 2 was good.
Nah, really.
It was Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. was never a show that I was like, this is the greatest and I've got to watch it. But it was always like all right, I want to watch another comic thing. Let's a couple days later, let's watch Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. A few times was I actually anxious. But I thought, looking back, it ended in a really good way. It was nice, and I'm glad that I'm glad I saw it. I'm glad I saw all of it. What do you think, Noel?
Yeah, I mean, I skipped 90% of this season and just watched the end.
Yeah.
Because they've been. I mean, it could have ended 3 seasons ago, and it would have been the same ending.
Yeah, pretty much.
Which is cool.
Yeah.
I mean, it was consistent and it was solid.
Yeah.
It was never bad.
Yeah, exactly.
And
especially after season 1, that too really did grab me. And I like the whole thing about Coulson where May is like, he dies at one point, JD, and then May's like, no, you'll come back. Like that's your superpower is you come back to life.
He died like 4 times during the season. He's an LMD now, so he's never going to die.
Yeah, which I thought was cool, and I liked how they ended it. They ended that episode. I thought the epilogues to everybody were pretty cool.
Yeah. It didn't feel like it wasn't a large bombastic ending. It was more like it felt like the end of a season and then had a coda. That's it.
Yeah.
Like it just had a nice coda at the end. Yeah.
And the final scene was cool too. It was just fun, Coulson, cool stuff,
Yeah.
Something I forgot hadn't been in the show for a while. I was like,
right. Yeah. It was fine.
Yeah. Before we go on to one of the other things, you want to Robert Monroe Jr. You prefer the DC animated movies? Yeah, a lot of them are really, really good. I love Justice League Dark Apocalypse War, and just like they would not have done that in a theatrical release for one second.
For the audio version of the podcast, Robert Monroe says, we prefer the DC animated movies to the live action theatrical releases, and watching them since she was a baby has my daughter want to be an animator.
That's awesome.
That's dope.
Yeah, very cool.
Also, in my opinion, it's a real low bar to be better than most of the theatrical releases from DC.
It's a good point.
I mean, it is a really low bar.
I mean, were we all kind of like, ooh, Justice League Dark Apocalypse War, maybe this will be what I wanted from the Justice League movie?
Yep.
Oh, it kind of was,
Yeah.
And they're, they get to do, you're not going to see some of those characters as much as they use Batman and Superman. Like they also do stuff that is way more faithful to the comics on one hand, and on the other hand is just like showcasing stuff that you probably aren't going to see in a theatrical release anytime soon. And I love animation anyway, so they're great. Hey!
Hi, Cooper.
Hi, Cooper.
Sam just brought the cat in. Hey, Cooper. You're so concerned. All right, guys.
Oh wait, if you don't mind, Stargirl also finished up, and it was a fun season, guys.
Yeah.
Well, I'm not gonna just like impressions.
Okay.
I really enjoyed it, and I'm pumped for season 2, and yeah, it was just great superhero kind of action standing on its own.
It's real good.
It was so much fun, and I since we spoke last week, have started and completed all of the available Harley Quinn episodes. That show is so much fun. It's great.
Right?
Yeah.
I watched the first 2 episodes.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
It's great.
I don't. Okay.
Yeah. All right.
I'll keep trying.
I mean, I was in it from that moment one. So if you don't, if you weren't grabbed already,
I mean, you guys talked, like, you and Len or JD and Len and even Brandon, I think, talked about how it's the funniest damn thing in the world and it's so great.
Wow.
Alan Tudyk is.
I mean, Len was over the moon for it.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
real funny.
It was cute.
Yeah.
I never laughed out loud. I was just like, that's cute. Which sometimes happens, actually. Do you guys ever do that where you're like watching something that's funny or whatnot, and you don't actually have to laugh out loud? You're just
All
like,
the time.
that's
Sometimes for the funniest of things, I don't laugh, and I'm like, that was really funny.
That was what a great joke.
Yeah, yeah.
it was just fine
Okay.
for me.
Yeah,
I didn't
It's not
want
for
to keep.
everybody.
Yeah.
I didn't think it was going to be for me because I'm tired of Harley Quinn.
Is there like a pivotal point that you guys remember? Like, didn't grab me right away, but sometimes it's like episode 4 is just fantastic. Like,
I remember once they kind of very minor, very, very minor spoiler. Once she assembles a crew, I would say it really is Jill.
All right, cool. Because I did not give 2 shits about her and Joker sparring at all.
Yeah,
That's the first 2 episodes. I was just like, this is stupid. I don't really care about. Okay, so
actually, yeah, those are the first 2. Episode 3.
It sucked.
Episode 3 takes it in the direction, but those 2 episodes were necessary for them to do the story.
I like the ambivalence of the only gag that I really, really liked in those first two episodes was Ivy consistently and constantly trying to convince her over the course of like 2 years in Arkham that he hates you.
Right.
He's not coming. He hates you. Look, he hates you.
For me, that is the crux of the show.
Yeah.
The crux of the show is the Harley and Poison Ivy best friend. Maybe something else at by the end relationship.
Yeah.
Great. That's the only thing that was mildly entertaining to me. Everything else was just like retread boring.
Oh yeah, that was the whole show for me. Was like their relationship and a little bit her just like so it took me an episode to get into the voice of Harley Quinn, not being the one that's in my head when I think of Harley Quinn. But one
Strong.
No, Arlene Sorkin actually from
series.
Yeah. But Tara Strong sounds so much like her that's the only Harley Quinn that we've got.
Wait a minute. Are you talking about Harley?
Yeah.
I thought Harley was Kelly Krakoa or something.
No. He's talking about who used to play her.
Yeah.
Oh.
The original.
It's Cuoco, I think.
Cuoco from the show.
Awful show. Awful.
No. The original one. Christopher Lloyd's wife was the original version of Harley Quinn. That was like sort of created with her in mind, I believe. But that relationship. Also, the comedic stuff. Like Clayface is hilarious.
I like Clayface. That's Alan Tudyk, isn't it?
Yeah, him and the Joker, which I didn't realize.
Oh,
I will get to the part where they bring in more of an ensemble cast because maybe that's where everyone fell in love with it, or maybe you guys are so deep into the good stuff that you don't remember.
No, it was
the
so
rough
good.
beginning.
This was since like last week.
You watched all of it?
Yeah, I just kept going, and her relationships with the crew and Poison Ivy, and just her characterization, I really liked it. Yeah.
Yeah, I also like King Shark.
King Shark is great.
King Shark's great.
Yeah. Jessica Walters has a guest appearance later on.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
From Arrested Development.
Yeah.
I have no issue saying that I was wrong or that my opinion changed. It's just I tried the first 2 and I was not impressed.
I am slogging my way because Brandon keeps telling me about the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and how good it is and how good
Just
it
skip it.
gets. And I'm on season 2, and there's like the sweaty wet guy. He's got the sweaty wets. What's his name? It's Sky's dad.
Oh, Jekyll or Hyde.
He's
Hyde.
just always moist.
Yeah.
And then the lady, the actress from what is her name? Drea something from the HBO mob show.
Drea Di Matteo. She's not on the show.
Yeah, she is. Drea Di Matteo is in season 2, and she's one of the people that they set free, and she's got razor blades on the end of her fingertips.
I forgot about her. Yeah. Listen, my opinion is if you are not into it, don't keep watching this one. That's my opinion. It never got great. It was always just solid. I love Clark Gregg as Phil Coulson.
Yeah.
He was a little better as the put upon guy in a world of superheroes, but
I thought so. Yeah.
Yeah.
Better in the movies.
Definitely. But he does. I think he recaptures some of that. I don't think that every time I watch him anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's if you're not into it.
Yeah.
Now, just stop. It's fine.
Yeah.
There's a couple of cool things that happen here and there, but
there's so many hot pizzas, man.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah.
I think I'm the only person that preferred the I think my favorite season was the Ghost Rider season.
Ooh, that was a good
season.
Yeah.
And that's season, I think it's 4 or 5.
Or I don't know. Yeah. You could probably get to that. It's not.
I mean, the Ghost Rider season, and then that season ends with they wake up in space. I'm like, oh, cool. The show is weird. It's fine.
Yeah.
I mean, I would never ask anyone other than a diehard to give it a shot because it's
a serviceable comic show. And if you want a comics show, this will do
It's also the perfect example of how network television can ruin something that should be shorter. So it does. The last 2 seasons have been only 12 to 13 episodes. They're great.
Yeah.
Whereas when it was stretching 22 to 24 episodes a year, it just gets stupid. And I did forget up until recently that Bill Paxton was the big bad for a whole season.
Me too.
That was awesome. And the Deathstroke stuff was kind of cool. And
I thought he was going to be a regular part of the team.
Oh, not Deathstroke. Deathlock. Sorry.
Yeah. The guy from Angel. I thought
J. August Richards.
Season 1.
See, I hated Deathlock. I thought his prosthetics were so bad.
No.
It comes back in season 3 with the whole Garrett with Bill Paxton.
Yeah.
And it's cool.
Nice.
It's super cool, the whole cyborg kind of craziness and precursors of LMDs and all this shit.
Yeah, that stuff was cool.
The mainframe stuff was cool with LMDs. Yeah.
All right. Thanks so much for joining us on this episode of the Cult Pop Podcast. You can catch me on Twitter at JD's Hero Complex. You can go to the patreon.com/JohnnyDestructo and help out the show that way. Brian, where can the people find you?
I'm at brianleibdesign.com and just nowhere else really that you need to know.
And Noel.
You can just find me on social media. My hashtag is right there at Mr. Bartocci, BARTOCCI. Yeah. And social media. Hi.
I'm sorry, I still haven't finished editing the last episode for audio, so I have to do that and this one this week. So anyway, thank you so much for joining us, and we will talk at you later.
So,
Bye.